B&M, or Bolliger and Mabillard, is a world-class roller coaster manufacturer out of Switzerland who have built a total of 124 roller coasters across the world as of 2022. Let's find out which are the best of the best that they have to offer. Now, I have ridden a ton of B&Ms, but I have to preface this by saying I've not been on all of them as they're scattered all over the world. Some assumptions must be made here. B&M has a variety of successful models, and many of them are extremely similar within the same model, so this is very hard to rank. These are just my opinions, so you might think differently, and that's great. Make sure to let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'm going to try to get at least one of each major model in the top 15 for some parity. Please give me the benefit of the doubt and don't get too hung up on what number I have it ranked, as everyone is going to have their own different opinion. Now let's begin with number 15, Incredible Hulk and Kumba. I'm going to have a few double entries throughout this list because some of these rides are so similar, and I am not the biggest fan of older B&M sit-down loopers, but these two are the exception and probably the best in the sit-down looper category. Incredible Hulk was completely retracked at Universal's Islands of Adventure in Florida, and I hear it's running great. It's very smooth and incredibly intense. Kumba at Busch Gardens Tampa is one of the most picturesque coasters out there. Pair that with some intense, whippy inversions and short wait times usually, you're sure to enjoy this ride. On to number 14, Raging Bull. This B&M Hyper is probably the most unconditional of the 18 that have been made so far, also making it one of the most polarizing. Some think it's one of the best, and others think it's one of the worst hypers. It begins with a couple airtime hills, but then stays low to the ground and has more of a twister layout, instead of float or airtime hills like most hypers. But I love this. You can get some insane ejector airtime off of the first drop if you are in the back couple of rows too. I highly recommend doing this ride in the back, as the airtime and the forces are much stronger. This makes it one of the better B&M hypers in my opinion if you sit in the back specifically. Number 13, we have Nitro. Nitro is not too different than other traditional B&M hypers, but it seems to be high up on many enthusiasts' lists. I haven't ridden it personally, but it seems to have really solid camelbacks and airtime hills. This one is probably one of the more underrated hyper roller coasters because it often gets overshadowed by El Toro, King Dakar, and Jersey Devil Coaster all in the same park. On to number 12, we have a couple of dive coasters, Yukon Striker at Canada's Wonderland and Griffin at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. I'll be the first to admit that I do see dive coasters as kind of one-trick pony rides, but these rides are just pure fun. They have holding brakes that hold you over the first drop for a few seconds before letting you go, and the anxiety at the top is just awesome. The first drop is incredible, especially in the first row. Since Griffin is an older dive coaster, it has those B&M over-the-shoulder restraints, which doesn't limit the airtime you can get as much like the newer vest restraints do. But Yukon Striker probably has the best layout of a dive coaster, and is also the tallest and fastest dive machine too. You can't go wrong with either of these. Number 11, GateKeeper. I love GateKeeper at Cedar Point, and I think this one is super underrated. The long layout, near misses, and hang time on the first drop off the lift hill is just incredible. It also makes Cedar Point's entrance one of the most beautiful amusement park entrances out there, with GateKeeper flying through the keyholes over the gate. Number 10, Thunderbird. Thunderbird may not have the best or longest layout for a wing coaster, but it is the only B&M launched wing coaster out there, which many say make it the best one. This ride begins launching you through an Immelman and then into a vertical loop. It later dives through a sweet sequence of near misses through a barn to end off the ride. Number 9, Nemesis. Nemesis is an awesome B&M inverted coaster located at Alton Towers in England. There is a regulation here that prevents them from building anything over the tree line, so B&M had to get very creative with it. The result? A super low to the ground, intense invert with near misses through trenches, ravines, and tunnels. This ride is themed to some legendary creature wreaking havoc on the area, and the steel track of the roller coaster acts as the restraints holding the beast back as it twists all over the creature. Nemesis is pretty much everything you want in a roller coaster. The only reason I don't rank it higher is because it doesn't seem to have much airtime as the rest of the coasters on this list. Number 8, Montu at Busch Gardens Tampa. Montu is widely considered to be the world's best B&M invert. It has over-the-shoulder restraints so you can still get good airtime, it's intense with quick elements, and has a custom layout that dives up, over, and through trenches and tunnels all throughout the ride. It's such an incredible experience, definitely one of the best B&M roller coasters. Number 7, we have Falcon at Wuxi Sunak Land in Jiangsu, China. I may have botched this pronunciation, and you may have not heard of this roller coaster before, but this B&M wing coaster is the culmination of all the best ones. It is the tallest and fastest B&M wing at 197.5 feet tall, 73.3 miles per hour, with 4 inversions. It has amazing theming and elements surrounded by impressive rock work, making the near misses incredible. It's not the longest B&M wing, that would go to GateKeeper, but the height, speed, impressive theming, and near misses make this likely the best B&M wing coaster in the world. Up at number 6, we have another dual entry with Orion and Leviathan. Now I'm lumping these together here because they are both very similar Giga coasters with a great first drop, a great sense of speed, and decent airtime. Although Orion was largely considered a disappointment by many in the community, it is still a great ride in my opinion, and one of the best B&M roller coasters in the world. There have only been 3 of these B&M Giga coasters built, and all of them have been by Cedar Fair. It'll be interesting to see if there will be any more of these pop up in the US or elsewhere in the world. Although most countries outside of the US don't seem to care about height records as much, especially the 300-foot barrier, as they don't use the US measurement system elsewhere in the world, so it doesn't seem too likely that we see many more of these pop up. Now getting into the top 5, we have Diamondback, a B&M Hyper at Kings Island. This ride may not be as tall or as fast as Orion in the same park, but the sustained airtime on Diamondback is far superior to Orion. The longer trains help make this ride better than most other B&M Hypers in my opinion, with more whip and airtime over the camelbacks compared to most Hypers, if you are sitting near the back that is. Some say this ride has a bit of a rattle, but it has never bothered me one bit. Get yourself some rides on Diamondback because it's one of the best B&M Hypers. Number 4. You didn't think I forgot about Mako, right? I have ranked Mako at number 4 purely because it's almost universally considered to be the best B&M Hyper in the US. It has a beautiful setting over the water, towers over the rest of the park, and has incredible sustained airtime throughout the entire ride. What else could you want in a B&M Hyper? Now before we get into the top 3, honorable mentions go out to most of the similar invert, wing, dive, flying, and hyper coaster models. More specifically, Tatsu, Banshee, Raptor, Valraven, Silverstar, Behemoth, Goliath, Intimidator, and Candemonium. But seriously, if your favorite B&M coaster isn't listed in this video, don't sweat it, as everyone has different preferences in coasters, forces, elements, ride models, and most B&Ms are so similar it's very difficult to rank them against each other. Now, in the top 3, at number 3 we have Shambhala at Port Aventura in Spain. This one is another B&M Hyper and is critically acclaimed to be considered one of the best, if not the best, B&M Hypers out there. I live in the US, so I don't know many people who have ridden it, but the POV and the stats alone, with it having a 50-foot taller drop than Mako, which is largely considered the best B&M Hyper in the US, makes me give Shambhala the slight edge here. Number 2, Flying Dinosaur at Universal Studios Japan. Have you ever seen the POV for this thing? This ride looks insane. It's like a normal B&M Flyer, but on steroids. The fly to lie and Raven turn elements seem so forceful, added in with the typical pretzel knot, and 3 inline twists make this undoubtedly one of the most intense and best B&Ms in the world. This is a huge bucket list coaster for me personally. And finally, at number 1, largely considered the best B&M in the world, we have Fury 325 at Carowinds. This Giga coaster is fittingly 325 feet tall, the tallest coaster with a lift hill in the world. What makes this ride stand out over other Gigas and Hypers that they have built is that it stays low to the ground, maintaining its speed, pacing, and intensity much better than a typical B&M. Although biased, Amusement Today has rated Fury 325 as the best steel roller coaster in the world every year from 2016 to 2022. This ride seems to be a perfect balance of smoothness and intensity, so it's incredibly re-rideable. Both the general public and enthusiasts love this ride, and it continues to be B&M's crown jewel until the day they build an even better roller coaster in the future. Now everyone has different preferences and opinions on B&M ride models, so don't get too hung up on the number I ranked them. But now it's your turn. What is the best B&M that you have been on? What is your biggest B&M bucket list coaster? Are there any I forgot to mention you would add to this list, or any really underrated B&Ms that I should know about? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe for new videos twice a week. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you all next time.